Picture this timeline, 1850 BC to 1928 CE, 3780 years. Every single one of those years, silver functions as humanity's most effective antimicrobial agent. Egyptian healers apply it directly to wounds. Soldiers survive infections that should kill them. They don't know why. They don't understand bacteria, don't understand ions, don't understand what we now call the oligodynamic effect, but it works. Alexander the Great carries water in silver vessels during his campaigns beginning 635 BC. The Romans include silver nitrate in their official pharmacopoeia. World War I medics wrap battlefield wounds in silver leaves because infections kill as many soldiers as combat. Then penicillin arrives in 1928. It's a miracle. Infections that killed millions are now curable with a pill. Silver falls into obscurity. Why use ancient metal when you have modern pharmaceuticals? Fast forward to 2019. Antibiotic resistance kills 1.27 million people directly. Another 4.95 million deaths attributable to resistance. 1 in 6 infections now resistant to standard antibiotics. The last novel antibiotic class was introduced in 2000, a quarter century ago. NASA uses silver on the International Space Station for 98% water recovery. The WHO distributes silver-impregnated ceramic filters to 1 billion people without safe drinking water. Hospitals coat equipment with silver to fight MRSA. We're back where we started. 3780 years of silver dominance. 97 years of antibiotic effectiveness. We're now in year 25 of the collapse. This isn't speculation. This is documented pattern recognition. This video examines 7 reasons preppers choose silver over gold based on historical utility patterns, not investment advice. Historical analysis. Reason 1. The oligodynamic effect gives silver unique antimicrobial properties gold doesn't possess. The term oligodynamic comes from Greek, oligos meaning few, dynamic meaning force. Even minuscule quantities of silver devastate bacterial populations. Carl Engeli documented this scientifically in the late 2000s, though he couldn't identify the actual mechanism. What he discovered was profound. Silver at concentrations as low as 0.01 to 0.1 milligrams per liter negatively impacts bacterial metabolism. Here's where the mechanism matters. Silver attacks bacteria through multiple simultaneous pathways. Silver ions penetrate bacterial cell membranes through interaction with thiol and amine groups in bacterial proteins. The cell membrane integrity becomes compromised, bacterial contents leak out, the organism dies. But that's just mechanism 1. Silver ions directly interact with bacterial DNA and RNA, interfering with replication and protein synthesis. Silver nanoparticles generate reactive oxygen species, hydrogen peroxide, hydroxyl radicals. These create oxidative stress that degrades cellular proteins, lipids, nucleic acids. The bacterial cell self-destructs from accumulated chemical damage. Antibiotics target single metabolic pathways. Bacteria adapt through single mutations. Silver attacks cell membranes, DNA function, generates reactive oxygen species, and interferes with metabolic processes all at once. Bacterial resistance to silver remains rare precisely because the metal attacks through numerous simultaneous mechanisms. Gold possesses none of these antimicrobial properties. Gold is chemically inert, biologically inactive. It doesn't kill bacteria, doesn't purify water, doesn't prevent infection. For preppers focused on survival scenarios where medical infrastructure collapses, silver's antimicrobial properties represent functional utility gold cannot provide. Reason 2. Silver's price ratio to gold creates dramatically better barter divisibility. Currently, gold trades at approximately 85 times the price of silver per ounce. This ratio fluctuates but remains historically in the 50 to 100 range. 1 ounce of gold costs what 85 ounces of silver costs. In barter scenarios during economic collapse, this creates a fundamental problem. If you need to trade for small value items, food, basic supplies, fuel, a full ounce of gold represents enormous purchasing power, too much for most transactions. You cannot easily divide a gold coin into smaller fractions for trade. Silver solves this. 1 ounce of silver represents much smaller value. Pre-1996 was silver coins, dimes, quarters, half dollars, contain 90% silver. These provide small denomination trade units. A single silver dime contains roughly 0.07 ounces of silver. At current prices, approximately $2 in silver content. This creates practical barter utility. Trade a silver dime for bread, a silver quarter for eggs, a silver $0.50 for chicken. Gold's high unit value makes it impractical for daily barter. Historical collapse scenarios consistently show this pattern. Weimar Germany hyperinflation, Zimbabwe currency collapse, Venezuelan economic crisis. Small denomination precious metals traded more frequently than large value units. Silver's lower per ounce value creates the divisibility needed for practical exchange during monetary system failure. Gold stores wealth, silver facilitates transactions. Reason 3. Industrial demand for silver exceeds gold by multiples, creating fundamental scarcity dynamics. Approximately 50% of annual silver production goes to industrial applications, solar panels, electronics, medical devices, electrical contacts. Silver conducts electricity better than any other element, conducts heat better than any other metal. These properties make it irreplaceable in modern technology. Solar panel production alone consumes over 1 billion ounces of silver annually. This number continues growing as renewable energy expands globally. Electronics manufacturing consumes massive quantities. Every smartphone, computer, LED, contains small amounts of silver. Multiply by billions of devices. Medical applications expand constantly. Silver-coated bandages, antimicrobial surgical instruments, water purification systems. Pharmaceutical applications. Gold's industrial demand is much lower. Approximately 10% of annual production goes to industrial use, the rest goes to jewelry and investment. This creates different supply-demand dynamics. Silver gets consumed in industrial processes, destroyed, not recovered, gone permanently from supply. Gold recycling is economically viable due to high prices. Silver recycling often isn't cost-effective. Industrial silver disappears from circulation. Above-ground silver inventories have declined substantially over decades. The silver available for investment and monetary use represents a shrinking pool. For preppers analyzing long-term scarcity patterns, silver's industrial consumption creates supply constraints gold doesn't face. This affects future availability and value. Reason 4. Historical silver-to-gold ratio suggests silver is currently undervalued relative to gold. Throughout most of recorded history, as a silver-to-gold ratio averaged 15:1, 15 ounces of silver equaled 1 ounce of gold in value. Ancient Egypt, the ratio was approximately E/E. Silver was actually rarer than gold in that region. Rome fixed the ratio at 12:E by law. Medieval Europe, the ratio fluctuated between 10:E and 15:E depending on regional mining output and monetary policy. The current ratio exceeds 85:E. This represents extreme deviation from historical norms. Why does this matter? Historical mean reversion is a documented pattern across commodity markets. Ratios that deviate substantially from long-term averages tend to revert. If the silver-to-gold ratio reverted to even 50:E from current 85:E, silver would gain substantial value relative to gold. If it reverted to historical 15:E, silver would outperform gold by multiples. This creates asymmetric opportunity. Preppers positioning for monetary system reset or currency devaluation scenarios analyze these historical ratios. Silver offers potentially larger percentage gains than gold if mean reversion occurs. The mechanism is straightforward. Gold's primary use is wealth storage. Silver's primary use is industrial consumption. When industrial activity collapses temporarily during crisis, silver's industrial demand drops. This temporarily suppresses silver prices relative to gold, widening the ratio, but when systems stabilize, industrial demand returns, the ratio contracts. Historical data from multiple collapse and recovery cycles shows this pattern. Silver typically outperforms gold in percentage terms during recovery phases following crisis. Reason 5. Silver's physical properties make it superior for water purification in survival scenarios. NASA's life support systems on the International Space Station achieve approximately 98% water recovery efficiency using silver ionization. The system collects wastewater from crew bathing, drinking, and urine, processes it through multiple filtration stages, uses silver alongside advanced filtration to prevent microbial growth during storage. The water produced is purer than most municipal water supplies on Earth. astronauts regularly consume this recycled water. That's the standard silver achieves when properly incorporated into water treatment systems. In the developing world, the Potters for Peace organization has trained organizations across multiple continents to manufacture ceramic water filters impregnated with colloidal silver. Studies demonstrate that colloidal silver impregnated ceramic filters remove between 97.8% and 100% of applied bacteria from water samples. The WHO has supported silver-based ceramic filter initiatives specifically because they create sustainable water purification capacity. An estimated 1.2 billion people worldwide lack access to safely managed drinking water. Silver-based filters provide solution at scale. For preppers, this matters practically. Silver coins can be used to create antimicrobial water. The process isn't as simple as dropping a coin in water, but silver's oligodynamic effect means it can be deployed for water safety in ways gold cannot. Gold provides no water purification capability whatsoever. In survival scenarios where clean water access is compromised, silver's antimicrobial properties become life-saving utility. Gold remains purely monetary. The ability to purify water using silver represents functional value that transcends its role as monetary metal. This dual utility is unique to silver. Reason 6. Silver's antimicrobial properties provide wound care capability when medical systems fail. Methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, MRSA, has developed resistance to nearly all conventional antibiotics. Many healthcare facilities now employ silver-impregnated equipment, surgical tools, needles, stethoscopes, furniture, door handles. Research on silver nanoparticles against MRSA produces particularly encouraging results. Studies examining silver nanoparticles in the 5 to 50 nanometer range against MRSA isolates observed bactericidal activity even against strains carrying silver resistance genes. The combination of silver nanoparticles with conventional antibiotics demonstrates synergistic activity. Lower antibiotic concentrations achieve bactericidal effects against resistant organisms. Modern wound care protocols using silver-containing dressings have been extensively studied over decades of clinical experience. The fundamental principle involves maintaining silver ion concentrations within a therapeutic window. Concentrations greater than 60 RTS per million demonstrate antimicrobial effectiveness. Concentrations exceeding 60 RTS per million begin to demonstrate cytotoxicity to essential healing cells. For preppers, understanding silver's wound care applications provides capability when pharmaceutical antibiotics are unavailable, expired, or ineffective due to resistance. The mechanism is documented, the applications are proven, the capability exists independent of functioning medical supply chains. Gold provides no wound care capability, cannot prevent infection, cannot treat bacterial contamination. Silver can. In scenarios where antibiotic access fails, this distinction becomes survival critical. Silver's biological activity creates utility beyond monetary value. Reason 7. The economic comparison between stockpiling antibiotics versus silver-based solutions favors silver for long-term preparedness. A comprehensive antibiotic stockpile for a family of 4 sufficient for extended emergency requires $500 to $1,500 in pharmaceutical costs. But here's the problem: amoxicillin capsules and tablets typically expire between 2 and 3 years from manufacture. For amoxicillin in liquid suspension form, shelf life drops to just 14 days after mixing. Doxycycline tablets maintain stability for approximately 2 years under proper storage. You're rotating supplies every 2 years, forever, between 2014 and 2016. Some formulations of cephalexin suspension increased in price by 26%. Other antibiotics saw increases exceeding 90%. Between 2001 and 2013, there were 148 documented antibiotic shortages affecting various formulations. Some shortages lasted extended periods. Essential antibiotics became temporarily unavailable regardless of price. Supply chain dependency creates vulnerability. Colloidal silver products containing 60 RTS per million when stored properly remain stable for at least a year. Some products demonstrate stability for longer periods. Silver nanoparticles stored at refrigeration temperatures and protected from light maintain stability indefinitely, unlike antibiotics which degrade through predictable pharmacological processes. Colloidal silver changes primarily through oxidative dissolution, a process that actually increases the concentration of dissolved silver ions available for antimicrobial activity. The supply of pre-made colloidal silver or ingredients for generation requires no rotation, no replacement of expired materials, no complex logistics. A ceramic water filter system impregnated with silver can be manufactured for approximately $15 to $25 per unit in developing contexts. For developed country contexts, commercially manufactured ceramic filters with silver coating can be purchased for $50 to $150 per filter, each capable of providing thousands of liters of treated water. Over a 10-year household water consumption period, these filters prove 3 to 6 times more cost-effective than centralized water treatment systems. They require no electricity, no mechanical expertise, minimal ongoing maintenance. The critical distinction involves time frame. For short-term emergency scenarios, weeks to months, commercial antibiotic stockpiles provide highest probability of effective treatment. For longer-term preparedness scenarios, years or indefinite self-sufficiency, building silver-based water purification and wound care capability becomes increasingly economically rational. The upfront investment provides indefinite utility without ongoing resupply costs or expiration-driven replacement requirements. Gold provides none of these practical benefits. Gold stores wealth, period. Silver stores wealth and provides functional utility, water purification, wound care, antimicrobial applications, barter divisibility. Now let's examine what these 7 reasons mean together. Each reason addresses a specific limitation of gold for preparedness scenarios: gold's lack of antimicrobial properties, gold's poor barter divisibility, gold's limited industrial demand dynamics, gold's current high ratio to silver, gold's inability to purify water, gold's lack of wound care applications, gold's purely monetary function without consumable utility. Silver addresses all 7 limitations. The historical pattern is clear. For 3780 years, silver served as humanity's primary antimicrobial agent. For 97 years, antibiotics replaced silver. We're now 25 years into antibiotic resistance crisis. The pattern suggests reversion to what worked before antibiotics existed: silver. Between 2018and 2023, antibiotic resistance rose in more than 40% of bacteria-drug combinations tracked globally. Average annual increases 5 to 15% in Southeast Asia and Eastern Mediterranean WHO regions. 1 in 3 infections now demonstrate resistance to standard antibiotics. In parts of Africa, resistance rates exceed 70%. The last novel antibiotic class was introduced in 2000. Pharmaceutical companies find antibiotic development economically unattractive compared to chronic disease medications. Financial incentives no longer reward antimicrobial innovation. Without substantial intervention, projections indicate antimicrobial resistance could cause an estimated $6 trillion in global GDP losses annually by 2030. This isn't speculation about distant future. This is documented current trajectory. The antibiotic era is ending, not might end, is ending. For preppers analyzing these patterns, the question becomes positioning. What capabilities will function when current systems fail? Silver provides capabilities that remain functional regardless of pharmaceutical supply chains, regulatory systems, or medical infrastructure availability. Gold does not. The pattern from historical collapses is consistent: Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Argentina. When monetary systems fail and medical infrastructure collapses, functional utility outweighs pure monetary storage. Silver's dual nature as both monetary metal and functional antimicrobial creates unique positioning. You can trade it like money, you can use it for survival. Gold can only be traded, cannot be used. The difference matters when systems break down completely. So here's the summary. 7 documented reasons explain why preppers choose silver over gold for preparedness scenarios. Reason 1: oligodynamic effect provides antimicrobial properties gold lacks. Reason 2: price ratio creates better barter divisibility than gold. Reason 3: industrial demand creates fundamental scarcity dynamics exceeding gold. Reason 4: Historical silver to gold ratios suggest current undervaluation. Reason 5. Water purification capability gold cannot provide. Reason 6. Wound care applications when antibiotics fail. Reason 7. Economic advantage over antibiotic stockpiling for long-term preparedness. Each reason is independently valid based on documented historical patterns. Together they create compelling case for silver's utility advantage over gold in collapse scenarios. This doesn't mean gold has no role. Gold stores large amounts of wealth in small space, useful for wealth preservation and portability, but silver provides functional utility gold cannot match. The trajectory from ancient silver use through the antibiotic era into contemporary resistance crisis provides historical context. For over 600 years, silver represented humanity's most effective antimicrobial intervention. The fact that ancient healers discovered and systematically deployed silver for water purification and wound treatment without any understanding of germ theory demonstrates the extraordinary effectiveness of the substance. The rapid transition from silver as primary antimicrobial to near obsolescence following penicillin's introduction reflected rational medical decision-making at the time. Why maintain expertise in managing silver toxicity when antibiotics provided faster, easier options with dramatic cure rates? Yet the emergence of antibiotic resistance demonstrates that apparent inevitability of progress was illusory. The same Darwinian processes that shaped life for billions of years continued operating uninterrupted in bacterial populations. Bacteria evolved resistance to antibiotics because that's what evolution does. In this historical moment, silver has transitioned from being dismissed as obsolete folk medicine to being reconsidered as potentially critical tool. The extraordinary fact, bacteria have not developed the extensive resistance to silver that they have to antibiotics despite silver being used in medicine for thousands of years. This pattern reveals something fundamental about silver's mechanism of action. Multiple simultaneous attack pathways make resistance evolution extremely difficult. For preppers, this matters practically. The antimicrobial tool that worked for 600 years still works today, and will likely continue working when antibiotics fail completely. Understanding these patterns doesn't guarantee future outcomes, but it reveals mechanisms that produced historical results, and those mechanisms remain remarkably consistent. This is Financial History Decoded, pattern analysis of historical utility and preparedness strategies based on documented evidence. The 7 reasons examined here aren't speculation, they're observations of properties, historical patterns, and current trajectories that favor silver's functional utility over gold's purely monetary role in collapse scenarios.